Only one car not on the speedway at the midway point of the Pepsi 400. The machine belongs to driver Kevin LePage, and Marty Snyder's with him behind the wall.
And with a frustrated look, he still sits behind the wheel of the FamilyClick.com Ford. And Kevin, what's got you behind the wall?
Well, unfortunately, we broke a couple shock mounts in the rear for this FamilyClick.com Ford. Really hate it for the guys back at the shop. This is a brand new race car, and we're just riding along right there about mid-pack and just trying to make our way to the front. Just one of them deals.
And Kevin said what actually happened was the shock mounts broke, both of the rear shock mounts, so they're going to have to weld those mounts back on, and they'll put the shocks back on. It'll be a while.
Oh, trouble in the tri-oval. Terry Labonte gets out of control. Michael Waltrip hits the wall. We have two cars involved. Waltrip comes back across the racetrack in traffic, gets tagged by another machine, and the second caution is out on the Pepsi 400.
I believe that other machine, it looked like just going down there in the smoke, could have been Jeff Gordon, but we'll wait and see. I think it might have been.
Barney, that was Jeremy Mayfield who collided with a spinning car once it came to the end of the front straightaway. Smoke again all over this end of the racetrack, but it was Mayfield who made the collision.
So
and
caution
there's
is
another one involved in there too that's sitting down on the inside of the racetrack, Barney. There's
we saw that one go out there. Couldn't tell who it was, but Terry Labonte is resting up against the wall with quite a bit of damage to his car. We're under caution at lap 82. It is the second one of the evening, and it's apparently going to involve at least 4 cars and maybe some sheet metal damage to some other cars that dive through it.
Just before the spin happened here in the tri-oval, the NASCAR race director, David Hoots, got on his radio and was asking the starter to check one of the cars in that group. I believe it was Michael Waltrip's machine, for a report that oil might have started to leak from it. And then Waltrip running right there with Terry Labonte, and Terry's car went around. Michael got collected in it as well, and then the Jeremy Mayfield car involved when Michael came back across the racetrack. And we see caution here for the second time in the Pepsi 400 just past the midway point of the event.
Yeah, Michael is out of his car. Again, it's Jeremy Mayfield, Michael Waltrip, and Terry Labonte, and a couple of other cars that might have got a little sheet metal damage to it. Terry's car continues to rest up against the outside wall. Don't believe he has come out of the machine yet. He took a pretty hard lick there and scrubbed along the wall. Couldn't really see. Did you see what triggered that, what really started it?
Terry got sideways in the tri-oval, racing side by side with Michael, and he tried to fight the car, and he chased it up the racetrack and down the racetrack, and then it went around. He went across the track, he and Michael into the outside wall, and then when Michael came off the outside wall back across is when Jeremy Mayfield collided with him, and those would be the 3 cars that were involved in the wreck that's put us under the caution.
Alan, Jeremy Mayfield's car has come to rest on the grass here at the apron of turn number 2. The safety personnel are there tending to him. He has now climbed from the car, but a lot of damage to the Mobil 1 Ford of Mayfield.
So trouble in the tri-oval area brings out the caution flag for the second time in tonight's running of the Pepsi 400. Michael Waltrip, Terry Labonte, and Jeremy Mayfield, the 3 cars that wind up being involved in the accident. So the leaders come by the opening of pit road, and the pit lane is closed at this point. So it's going to be another minute or so before they're able to make any pit stops, and any of the drivers are able to come in and get service. As the pit lane is closed and the field comes by with everyone staying on the racetrack.
Tell you what, there's some good pieces of driving going on behind that accident, of guys diving all the way down to the apron of the racetrack, and some going almost out into the grass to keep from colliding with other cars, because once Terry hit that wall, there was an awful lot of smoke coming out across there, and visibility had to be very restricted in that area for a quick second. We're very fortunate that only 3 cars got sufficient damage down there in the form of Jeremy Mayfield, Michael Waltrip, and Terry Labonte.
And compounding problem for Terry Labonte is that his car has come to rest driver's side, flush against the outside wall, so he was not able to get from the machine out the normal route from the driver's side window. The safety workers are there with Terry Labonte and have opened up the passenger side window on the right side of the car, and they also have a wrecker there to move the front end of the machine away from the wall a little bit so Terry can get out of the machine as we keep our eyes on that situation down inside of turns 1 and 2.
Alan, I think we had one other car that got quite a bit of sheet metal damage in that accident down there, and that would be Scott Pruitt. We just kind of had the benefit of a replay here, and one car bounced down across the racetrack and did quite a bit of metal damage to the rear of his car. We'll follow up on that when they make the pit stop here in a moment. Terry Labonte has climbed out of his car and has walked over to the ambulance. So as you said, his car was pinned up against the outside wall, and he had to come out the opposite passenger side of the car, but he did get out of the car under his own power. We're under caution. We'll see a rash of pit stops when they open pit road in a moment. We are at lap 84 in the Pepsi 400.
Marty Snyder has been down by the infield care center to try and get us a word with Terry Labonte. Let's check with him.
And Terry is still in the infield care center. Crew Chief Gary Dehart did just come from the infield care center, however, and said that they are going to transport Terry to Halifax Hospital. It is simply precautionary. It's for a CAT scan because Terry was briefly unconscious. He's now fine. He, in fact, had an entire conversation with Gary about what happened, and Terry said, I don't know what happened. The car just broke loose and got into the wall. So they are transporting Terry Labonte to Halifax Hospital. It is strictly precautionary, however, for a CAT scan.
Yeah, Terry did walk away from the car.
Yeah, we did see him get out of the car and walk away.
So Terry going to take the trip over to the Halifax Medical Center and just undergo some further tests and observation.